don't know what they're. Yeah, I mean, this is all about education, and they have really, they've taken over the school system. They don't want to teach us to be self-sufficient. They want us to be good slaves. I said they have really refined the art of slavery to the point that the slaves don't know they're slaves. I'm not a slave. I can go out and get in my pickup and go get a beer. Watch.
Yep. I agree, and that's their game. That's the nature of it. But here's the cool part. Part of the reason that they've been able to do that is that we come into this world with a veil. Those veils are going to be lifted, and when they are, we'll see everything for exactly what it is. We won't buy into the lies anymore, and all of their illusions will end.
Now repeat that for me. It's nice to have a positive vision of the future, and sometimes in my particular case, it's hard to focus on that. You know,
we have to, no matter what. We have to, no matter what was going on. You know, an interesting example of that is when China sacked Tibet. China has not gained one slave, 1 acre of land, 1 ounce of gold. They've gained absolutely nothing from these people. And China, Tibet is resisting through peaceful resistance by simply objecting and saying no. And eventually, China will move out of Tibet, and Tibet will have won without ever lifting a gun.
You know, one of the problems I've said that we have, and I think maybe Jesus was the only rebel in history that accomplished this. How do you fight evil without becoming evil?
You don't. You never destroy evil with more evil. The way that you end evil is with truth, love, and understanding. Or, well, let's call it comprehension. I don't like understanding. And even read Scripture. It says the Messiah returns and destroys evil with love.
I've got a book here by Glenda Green. She says she talked with Jesus, sat in her house with her, and that's exactly what he talked about was love.
Yep, that's it. And you can do it within yourself. I mean, even if you're sitting in a jail cell or prison cell, you can do it within yourself, and it spreads from you to everything around you. Fix yourself. Fix your own heart. It's the only thing you need to worry about. From 1994 to present, there's been a massive shift of energy. And when you look around and you see people squabbling over a chair or squabbling over a meeting room or whatever's going on, what's going on is they've missed that boat. It's not too late, you know, but just shift to it. The way I look at it is there is nothing around me that I cannot just walk away from. There is nothing in this entire creation that is worth fighting for.
Well, we do have. I mean, I think we're in a war, and it's an information war. You know, the tools that we have is love. I agree with you on that.
Yep.
But we still, you know, I mean, our founding fathers fought the New World Order of their day, and they had to do it with weapons. So we do have to be able to resist a certain amount of tyranny with force. Don't we? I mean, I've arrested people.
I don't agree. I don't agree. I think that Gandhi is another great example. You know, how do 6 million Indians evict 600,000 British from their country? Simple. You sit down and you say no. That's what they did. They literally sat down and said no more.
But aren't the British still in India? I mean, we still got the India and Pakistan as a hot spot.
They went from overt to covert control, but that's no big deal.
Isn't that what they've done?
Has to do with registration.
Isn't that what they've done here? I mean, aren't we still kind of under the British crown? His Social Security at least is.
Yes, it is. Everything is done the same way, but it's all voluntary through registration. And it's all based on title, and if you claim that title back, they will run from you like scared animals.
Well, let me, again, taking the Liberty Village concept, which you and I agree on. It is a way that, you know, you could, 10 families together on a ranch or a farm, they could make it productive, they could make it profitable to them. Now, Is there a way that we could research and go out and claim farms or ranches that have been abandoned? I mean, the whole plan right now is moving everybody into the city, which I call a concentration camp. The cities are the ghettos of today.
They are. They're warehousing them in cities just like they warehouse them in a prison.
And we've got the public-private prison plan too. I mean, the more people they charge with a crime, the more people they put in jail, the more money they make off of it, and that's on the stock market. My God.
That's like I told you, their system is designed to create negative energy. But the good news is the contract's almost over. That's why you and I are here, and others like us. That's why they keep beating us, because, beating on us and coming after us, is because they're scared to death of us. But just being here, just bringing light into this creation is enough. But if we can help people too, that's great. And the way I say it is, don't interfere with commerce. But if somebody comes to you privately and asks for help, sure. There's probably 100 ways to beat a mortgage. And if you get in on or correctly with the IRS, you'll find out they are your absolute best friends. When you start using the 1099s correctly, you'll be amazed at what happens. But also, don't do it for greed. Don't think of Federal Reserve notes as positive energy. People go to bed at night dreaming of having a bigger pile of Federal Reserve notes, and they wake up in the morning with more debt, and they don't know what happened. Because we create our own reality, and all of the news and all of the training and everything they do is designed to continually create the same slave reality. When in reality, all we have to do is change our hearts, change the way that we view things, and offer nothing but pure love and acceptance to everything around us. And also forgiveness, absolute forgiveness to everything and everyone around us, no matter what. I think the hardest one is, at the end, all of the men are actually going to judge the angels and even Satan. And I think that's the biggest test of all, is to just go up to him and say, hey man, I forgive you, no problem. All the stuff you did, all that negative commerce, all that negative energy, I forgive you, don't even worry about it. It's no big deal.
It's kind of easier said than done. I mean, if we were working together, but the Patriot movement can't work together. The key here, I think, is divide and conquer. I mean, this is exactly what's being done to us.
Yep, it is. It is, and so what you need to do is just shift and not fight anymore, and realize that the one you're supposed to be reunited with is the one that created you. Don't worry about the rest. I love this scene in V for Vendetta, where the girl's been imprisoned, and he gives her a choice. He says, look, we just need some information on V. Just give us anything. Just turn over your friends to us, and we'll let you go. And she says, no, I think you're going to have to take me up behind the chemical shed. That's the real freedom. You have absolutely nothing to fight for, when you're not afraid of losing anything, when you're not afraid of anything at all. When you give them a choice, I'm going to live free as a living being. And if that's not okay with you, then take my ass out behind the chemical shed, because I'm not doing anything else.
Well, that's been my attitude for the last 20 years. That's why I adopted the Free American. That's why I patent the Free American. That's why I do the Free American show. I'm nobody's slave. I am nobody's slave. You can,
Yep. Listen, the good news is, like I said, the contract's up, and what's going to be coming will blow people's minds. Right now, it's hard to even imagine. But literally, our mind and our spine is a combination Ark of the Covenant and a wormhole generating tower. And you'll literally think of a place in space and time, and a wormhole opens up, and you walk into it and go there. And that's what the ancient world had. When Nebuchadnezzar had his kingdom, it spanned across the entire earth, and all of these ancient megalithic stone structures that are left behind were left behind from his civilization, from his culture. And they had wormhole generators all over the place.
They had what? What kind of generators?
Wormhole generators. Stargate stuff.
Yeah.
The U.S. went into Iraq not for weapons of mass destruction, but to capture the Stargate that was there.
I've got in the novels that I'm working on now, I say this civilization was Atlantean in nature. It was in 10,000 years ago. It ruled. It was the Babylon. It was Babylon.
I don't know if it was or not. There may actually be separate Atlantis, and there may be separate Lemurian or Lemur, and then there may be Babylon. What I do know is that Babylon was the greatest civilization to ever exist on Earth, that the sun never set upon it, so it spanned the entire Earth.
Well, that was the code word for the Britain too, wasn't it? England. Sun never sets on the English Empire.
Yep, you got it. So all of the other empires, and remember Daniel interpreting Nebuchadnezzar's dream for him, was about all the other civilizations that would come after them, and although they were great, they were never as great as King Nebuchadnezzar's. And King Nebuchadnezzar came within 3 people of having every man, woman, and child on the earth worship him as God.
Who were the 3 that refused?
There were 2 witnesses and Daniel. Daniel the prophet.
Okay.
And he says, nope, I'm not going to worship you as God, creator, because you did not create me. And if you don't like it, you're going to have to take me out behind the chemical shed.
Now, I've made the comment, and it's in the article that I'm working on, that did they stop? Did God stop talking to people 2,000 years ago? Was Daniel the last person God talked to? Was Jesus the last person that God talked to? I don't think so. I think God talks to ordinary people on a daily basis, and I've met some people that like yourself that really provided a tremendous insight and reinforced my belief systems.
It's not so. I mean, there are lots of other beings off in the 4th and 5th dimension, and they would love to communicate with us. Part of the reason that they don't is this contract, this 6,400-year contract. They can't interfere with it. And the other part of it is that if you have paganism going on, you have all of this crap between you and your creator, your pagan priests and pagan idols and all this other stuff. How can your creator send any of his workers to go talk to you? You've got to eliminate all that crap first. But we're actually given instructions for how to build a physical communicator that can physically communicate across space, time, and other dimensions, and it's the Ark of the Covenant.
That nobody's been able to recreate that?
Actually, the University of Texas began to build one. When it started making lightning bolts that were almost killed people, they destroyed it.
Are you familiar with Ron Wyatt, who says he found the Ark of the Covenant in Israel? Under the cross, under where Jesus was crucified, and it still had blood stains on it.
Well, it's my opinion that there are several of these. The ancient world had these. They were all over. Remember, this is Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom, and these arcs powered these wormhole generators, these towers. And the towers are about 180 to 190 feet tall. And there are numerous temples all around the world, including China, that had these Holy of Holies, these temples that were 190 feet tall, that had these wormhole generated towers in them. And when the original temple in Jerusalem was built, it had this Holy of Holies with this still real tall 190-foot tower in it. And when it was rebuilt after being destroyed, it didn't. So these towers still exist. There are many of these arcs. I don't know where they're all at. I don't know who's found them or where they're going. I think that the Knights Templars probably found one in Israel when they were there. But all that technology is coming back, and it's going to be awesome.
Now tell me about this wormhole. You're the first person that I've heard mention this outside of Stargate series. But
yep.
What are we talking about here? What is this?
Check out William Henry. You can find him on YouTube. There's a bunch of stuff from William Henry on YouTube. He does a really great job of bringing ancient texts and ancient pictograms into our reality and explaining it. But that anomaly over Norway was a wormhole, and it came all the way from the center of the universe. And the last time it was here was when...
You're talking about the spiral, and that spiral reappears in ancient pictographs.
Yes, it does. It does, absolutely, throughout the Egyptian text, and the Mayans in particular. That's when their calendar actually began, was the last time it was here.
Well, let's see, that brings to mind another spiral. It's called DNA.
Yes, it does, because everything is a spiral. That's how you slow light down. Remember, in the beginning there was only light, so it had to be slowed down in order to create this matter in this hologram.
Now they're talking. We got them started on the chat room talking about the pyramids. They've just found one of the largest pyramids in Bosnia,
Yes.
but they're all over. You know what? 4 or 5 continents.
Yep. Richard Hoagland's done some fantastic research on the hyperdimensional torsion field physics, and that's what those are all about. That's why they were built where they were at, and most of them do go back to Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom that spread around the entire earth. To give you an idea of how incredible that civilization actually was, it's entirely possible that it was that civilization that created our moon. It is artificial, and it is possible that it was that civilization that created it.
And these UFOs that we're seeing today, that we see today, I think they've been around for 10,000 years.
They've been around much longer than that. There's Nibirians that arrived here 400,000 years ago, and they may have been here long before that. They come from different dimensions, they come from different worlds, and many of them have been reverse engineered and built right here on Earth. The big triangular craft are all U.S.
Yes. And so these UFOs, I mean, they're being piloted by humans.
Well, they are, and there's a dark side to it, because three-dimensional beings are adversely affected by anti-gravity. They age rapidly. It's why fish that swim up waterfalls to spawn age rapidly and die afterwards. And so these pilots have very, very short careers as pilots.
That's now, where do the biblical accounts of the Nephilim? Well, what are they talking about on the Nephilim, in your opinion?
Lots of different beings, just like we still have today. Some of them are straight fourth dimensional or fifth dimensional. Fourth dimensional beings have the ability to shift between physical body and spirit body at will. And many of them are described as messengers, and some of them are Nephilim, which is those who from heaven to earth come. But if you go back to the original text, sometimes they're messengers, sometimes they're witnesses, what have you. You know, we read the text today, and all it says is angels. You know, but they can. Some of them have spacecraft, travel in spacecraft. Some of them travel just by creating the wormholes with their own minds. Some of them do both. I had a very interesting conversation with a woman in Hawaii who had first-hand knowledge from her ancestors, and she says that there were Hawaiians that didn't need canoes to go between the islands, that they would think up and create a water spout, a spinning water spout, and ride the water spout to another island.
The Bible's filled with stories like that, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and it was written and designed to confuse, and it's done a good job. Remember, there's that 6,400-year contract, and neither side will allow any of us here to short-circuit it. So if you start building, anti-gravity flying saucers, they either have to take you out or let you leave the slave world.
Let you leave the slave world? Where can we go?
Well, right now there's still an embargo. There's still basically there's this Van Allen radiation belt, and it's intentional. And we're told that it's this, this shield, this wall that we can't go through. So these stories of Apollo spacecraft, little aluminum cans going through the Van Allen radiation belt and getting to the moon are completely preposterous. These astronauts might have actually gone to the moon, but they did not go there in Apollo spacecraft. And so you need anti-gravity type, flying saucers to actually get through that shield.
And I've said the reason they've got such a block on the UFO stories is because if we knew we could travel between here and the moon in a few hours with no fuel whatsoever.
Yep.
Well, there might be a little bit of a revolution, wouldn't there?
There would, and it's more than that. You have the outside galactic controllers, and then you have the inside government. And the inside government is deathly afraid that you'll learn the true nature of this, that it's a slave world with outside galactic controllers, and that you don't need these middlemen at all. What we do need is the people that grow food, make canoes, go fishing, go hunting, farmers, ranchers. These are people we do need. Government, what do we need them for?
Well, that's that's why I said when I came up with the Liberty Village idea and had that in the centerfold of the Free American, suddenly there's an attempt on my life, and
yep.
It's they don't want you messing with this. They want you buying your groceries from Walmart. They want you going down there. They want to be able to feed you the food that isn't going. I mean, it'll fill your belly. You won't starve to death. But you're going to die from this genetically modified food. I mean, rats won't even eat it. They're tampering with the DNA. That's about as anti-godly as I can imagine.
The earthly controllers believe that the population has increased too large, too fast, and all of these are control mechanisms to control the population, to reduce the population.
That's why the pharmaceutical companies and the doctors, they don't want you to be well. They want you to be sick. And they've got a 7,000% markup on your pharmaceuticals, on that Xanax, on that Valium you're taking.
Yep, that's true. Their job is to sell you more pills. But if you're smart, all of the truth is available. You can read it all on the internet. There are natural cures for just about anything. Kevin Trudeau has written several books on them, and they're cheap. You can pick them up on the internet.
B12. They made apricot seeds into a drug they call a Laetrile, but it cures cancer.
Well, cancer is a buildup of toxins in the body, and what happens is individual cells metastasize, and they take those toxins into themselves. And so what does the modern medicine do? They attack the cells that are metastasizing. Well, those cells are just acting to protect the rest of the body, so now you're attacking them. Everything they do is about fighting the body with the body. And in reality, all you needed was proper nutrition, proper diet, eliminate everything that's fake in your food or, engineered, and do proper cleansing and fasting, which nobody does. How many people in America do proper cleansing and fasting, or for that matter, even sweat? Their whole life is about how to avoid sweating, right?
And oh yeah, be sure and put some of that sunscreen on to keep you from getting the vitamin D that you need. Let me take a call here. We got somebody calling in. Some caller with a block number. So hello, who do we have? Okay, no block number. He hung up. Good.
Okay.
The answers are here. I mean, we really have the information to be able to do everything, but it's like the chemtrails, and they're spraying us. The snow on top of Mount Rainier and Mount Shasta in California are poisoned with aluminum.
Aluminum oxide. It's in deodorant. It's in the sprays. Yeah, so it's more attempts to control the slaves and keep them as good slaves.
What about the fluoride in the water? They think that's to keep your kid from getting cavities. Well, it reduces his IQ too. You don't mind that, do you?
It also calcifies the pineal gland, which prevents us from seeing all these truths. But again, it's all part of that 6,400-year contract. And the good news is that we are entering into the age of enlightenment, in which everybody is going to know the absolute truth. And some are going to be so stubborn that they will resist it. They're like, oh, that can't be truth. Where's that skinny gay guy with the diaper up on the cross? Where's my religion? Where's my government? Where's my whatever, right?
They're well, that's the dogma. They want you, if you can believe. Well, my God, it used to be against the law for you to read the Bible. Your priest had to tell you what it said, what it meant.
Yeah.
You weren't able to do that.
Every head of a household is supposed to codify Scripture, rewrite it, and bring it into their house. The Scripture that's floating around today was typically the one that was codified by Constantine. So it's codified for his house. That's for his house. Doesn't mean it's for my house.
So by me, I basically did the right thing, starting my own church, THC Ministries of Arizona. I give people as much information as I can. I don't tell anybody you got to smoke pot to be there. That's your choice. You decide what to put in your body.
Well, read the book of Jeremiah very carefully. He's a very, very, very cool prophet. If you read into the book of Isaiah, Isaiah is actually complaining to our Creator that his workload is too heavy, it's too harsh. And the Creator tells him, what are you complaining for? It's not like I made you travel all over the world building monuments to me. So the prophet that came before Isaiah was Jeremiah. So Jeremiah traveled all over the world building monuments to our Creator. He is the Quetzalcoatl of the Mayans, and all over the Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, and even into South America. All of those pyramids were built under the direction of Jeremiah. And he traveled between them in a ship that shimmered like the scales of a serpent and had no oars or sails. So he floated around in a flying saucer.
Yeah, that's. I'd like for you to take a look at my website, and it says Meet Lucifer. And I've got, I got about 40 years worth of work in fiction kind of crammed into that. I'd like for you to take a look and get your input on that.
Hey, Lucifer's okay. He's just the reptile shapeshifter, and he's the head of the reptile shapeshifters, and they're fourth dimensional beings that need negative energy from this world, and that's why this whole system is what it is here. And he actually gained us, 6,400-year contract to have it here. But the contract's almost up, and that means all of us that want to be free and want to love each other instead of fighting, we get to.
What do we do? We've got about 3 minutes left. Give me a little roundup here. And by the way, when are you? I've got somebody booked for the Breakfast Club this week, talking about the grand juries, and I'd like to have you at the Breakfast Club the week after that.
That should work. Yeah, I don't see any problem with that.
Okay, I'll update the website and put the announcement up on the Free American website.
Okay.
And okay, we got one more caller here. This time, we'll try you one more time. You got a block number. I normally won't even take calls from block numbers, but go ahead. Okay. It's just an idiot plan there. All right. Josh, we'll... I really like to meet with you during the week and see if there's whatever we can do here to bring this change and bring this awareness about. I mean, that's why I started publishing the Free American, when I realized the mainstream news wasn't giving us anything that was going to be helpful.
That's for sure. Yeah, everybody does their, Jerry actually looked at me one day, Jerry Kane, and when I was trying to help, I was trying to explain to him that possibly what he was doing could be construed as interfering with commerce. And he looked me right in the eyes and he says, we each do what we came here to do. So he knew what was coming, and he still did what he did because he believed that's what he came here to do. That's how he brought light into this creation. So each of us chooses how we bring light into this creation. I tried not to cross that fine line of interfering with commerce. I did it once and got beaten pretty hard for it, and I won't do it again. But I will try to help everyone who asks for help. How we help is up to us, but the option of helping is not. If somebody asks for help, we have to help.
Well, I'm asking for help here. We've got this radio show. Just need to get it out. We've got we've got some of the concepts, and I've got a lot of the information that I think people need to know. You being a part of that.
That's great. That's what we do. We gather as much information as possible, and eventually we'll have enough pieces to the puzzle that we'll see what fits and what doesn't, and we'll be able to discard all the BS because it just doesn't fit in the puzzle anymore.
All right. Josh, thank you for being on my show.
You bet. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. I appreciate it.
Call recording has been completed.